Welcome back to Equals To, the life podcast.
It's 18 malls, 50 tigers, 20 leopards. There are some stories about you shouting at the umpires, I remember.
Oh, that's happened. Welcome back to Equals To, the life podcast, where we try to give you life lessons from life itself. Episode 2 is about spotting opportunities. And I had to think whom to invite for this episode, and I then came up with our guest who's joined me today. And my team landed up asking me, why Nishank Joshi? So let me tell you why Nishank Joshi. He and I have literally grown up together. I think we've known each other for more than a decade and a half. In our professional careers, we started as fellow companions. I used to do events for him. We turned into friends who started taking the playing field together, celebrated a few wins. He lost a little more to me though. That's okay, that's part of life. We'll not talk about that too much. But something that I learned from him was his art of spotting in the wildlife, in the field of business. And then we landed up having a lot of conversations behind the playing field. So my backstage with Nishank was not as much on events, but more in the field of life. And we share a lot of passion points together, which brings me to introduce you to my friend and a marketing enthusiast and a wildlife enthusiast like none other I've seen. Nishank, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thanks, man.
How are you doing today?
Fabulous.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, we are talking about spotting opportunities. And when I gave you an introduction, it is whether be it in the field of business, 18 malls is what you are heading the marketing for.
Yeah.
We are looking at a guy who is an avid cricket lover, and we've discussed talent of the cricket field like we are Harsha Bhogle and I wouldn't say Sanjay Manjrekar, but Sunil Gavaskar. And then when it comes to the wildlife and you're just set off by yourself. So when it came to spotting opportunities, मेरे दिमाग में आपसे बेहतर कोई आया नहीं. But what does it mean to you?
So first, it's not just 18 malls, but when it comes to spotting, it's 18 malls, 50 tigers, 20 leopards, 300 birds. So let's get that straight. Like, so my spotting record is pretty fabulous there.
Fantastic, fantastic. And when it came to majorly defining you in the field of business, do you take more learnings from the wildlife or more learnings from sports? What kind of is your mantra?
Cricket, yeah. Cricket.
Yeah.
In fact, when I speak to my team, so many of my examples have been cricket.
Yeah.
I think we just relate to it. Like you spoke about it. It's just part of our DNA.
True.
Sport is, I mean, the way I look at sport is living your life, right? That's the way you live by, because it's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. There's leadership, of course. There is following a discipline, and it's fair. And I think that's where the competitive spirit comes in. And when you start to work, the one thing that you realize is discipline, of course, is important. Learning new skills is important.
True.
Right? But being fair and listening to your competitive spirit is the most important, because you need to reinvent yourself time and time again. Every 3 years, you feel you settle into a template. This thing works. You're a marketer like me. You know, how many times you would have said like, this event, this style works. And then you realize, oh my God, text changed.
Yeah.
Something that happened during COVID. Right, you would have changed your whole system to something brand new. Right? You probably would have gone to Zoom and then came back to this.
Yeah.
So I think that competitive spirit, the learning, all of it comes through sport. Wildlife is my escape, man.
Yeah.
Marketing needs escape. This life needs an escape.
True.
That's where I go and I just think as to what I need to do next.
Yeah.
You come, you relax, and then you come back saying that, all right, this is another set that I'm going to get into.
Fantastic. I think that time for disconnection is so well put. I think in today's kind of day and age where everyone's kind of chasing KRAs, we are talking about work-life balance as well. I think to find an avenue where you find that balance is an achievement in itself, right?
It's amazing. I mean, that time is when you reflect, and I swear to you, I reflect about everything. I reflect about my family. I reflect about what I did at work. It's amazing. It just gives you time to think, switch off for that 2 days, and you come back saying, all right, let's take on the world.
As in fact you're giving those examples, things running in my head is how do I do that, right? And of course, I live my life from one holiday to another.
Yeah.
Very simple. But more importantly, every week now paddleball has become my passion point, right? Cricket is something we
You've
both,
always been competitive, by the way, right?
Oh yeah,
You've been a sports person all the time.
That's an area we shouldn't get into. I think the viewers, initially all your viewers are your friends, your family, and I think they will correlate to that. There's going to be a lot of likes on that one the minute that
There are
goes
some
up.
stories about you shouting at the umpires, I remember. So, yeah.
I liked it that you said shouting and not influencing.
Sacking.
Oh, that's happened as well. I remember that. Okay. But yeah, that's a little bit of me. But yeah, paddleball's been my escape right now. And that couple of hours, about 3-4 times a week, just refreshes you to another level of energy where you kind of have that zest to go back out there, motivate a team, kind of lead the way. And yeah, sports is something that you and me both correlate to so very well. We were talking about, of course, 18 malls. These are spread across 14 demographics.
Cities, yes, 14
so
cities.
when you look at a platform like India, and as a marketer, it is such a huge challenge to kind of grasp hold of कौन सा strategy किस market में चलेगा. So how do you pave way? Is it a blanket approach which works across, or is it different seasonalities, different approaches, different markets?
So it's changed, right? I've been in the mall industry. Amazingly, I've been here for the last 15 or 16 years. And there was a time when I thought we got into this template where we said, this is what I'm going to do, end of season sale. And there used to be these 2-3 large events. And you're like, this used to work across my 4 or 5 malls. And then as you came to my current company, which is Nexus, that's when I started handling cities across the country. And that's when you realize how vast our country is, how diverse our country is. Yeah. And then you realize that, the consumer actually thinks differently. He buys the same things. And that's very interesting, that he buys the same things. They love the same brands. But they behave differently and they respond to your communication differently. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about talking in a different language or talking in a language that they understand, but it also means going cultural. So there are some cities, and I'll give you Bhubaneswar, for instance. Yeah. Bhubaneswar is the most cultural city. I have changed. It has a event calendar or a communication calendar, which is unique to only that, because everything that they do is based on their cultural traditions. Everything. So even shopping is linked to that. But you come to cities like Mumbai and Delhi, completely cosmopolitan. In fact, you would have spurts of a regional event here because the others don't just don't resonate, right? So it's very different. Consumers react very differently. But you also see some solid evolution. So you see a place like Amritsar, which now almost behaves like a Chandigarh. Mm-hmm. And Chandigarh is almost like Delhi. Yeah. So, as cities evolve,
there's an influence
there is influence.
The metros
100%. And there are so many trends, right? This is just eventing. There's communication. Because people are looking at the cultural influences are the same.
Yeah.
You're seeing the same films.
Yeah.
You're seeing the same film posters. You're seeing the same OTTs, right? So what we need to understand is that people are consuming the same information that influences them. Yeah. And therefore, at some point, the evolution will make them seem the same, but they're actually very different.
True.
And you just need to hit the target. Also, what's changed is, as far as the mall industry goes, is the consumer is getting younger. So we often talk about it. What used to be a 30-35 when do people start spending money? When they get a job. Correct. When do people get a job? When they're close to 30. Correct. And then they get kids.
That's changed.
That used to be the earlier mall industry. Now it's somewhere around 25 because now you've got the youngsters coming in. They've got the IT guys coming in, settling over there. So the age of the people shopping has also reduced.
Interesting question that I'm going to follow that up with. I used to get 20 rupees as a pocket money when I started my college days. You started a little before me. Yeah. Your college days were a little before me. What was the kind of pocket money that you had?
Same thing actually, 10-15 rupees. 10-15 rupees, vada pav.
And travel.
Vada pav and travel.
BST and we were so satisfied with that.
Yeah. Vada pav used to be like, outside the school, vada pav used to be bliss. And then walk back home. Oh my God.
I had Wednesday afternoon pav bhajis in school. Yeah. And if you give it to me today, I would not even probably have a bite. But that was what we relished as we grew up. So, well, true, I think the generation is a little more privileged. But coming from that, as a marketer, they are the spending audience today.
Yeah.
And Your strategies, like you said, for Bhubaneswar are different and in Amritsar are different. But it gets pretty taxing when it comes to trying to understand even, given the cultural diversity of our country, how do you kind of pivot of one Diwali campaign across 18? So how does you or your team kind of approach that?
Oh, it's so which is why I say that they buy the same things, they behave differently, but we do celeb endorsements, so we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
So we do have some major celebrity coming and endorsing our products and all that, and that works. We try and build, so for something like Diwali,
Yeah.
which is still very big,
Yeah.
right, in the sense that it cuts across cities.
Yeah.
But there are so many events that do not cut across cities,
Yeah.
right? That is where it is tougher. For a Diwali, you still have one single thought, you bind it in. But it's very interesting that I might have the same communication, which is the advertising, but
Yeah.
my on-ground eventing changes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
my 17 malls or 18 malls will have 10 or 11 or 12 different themes going around because the same theme does not resonate. So if I have a sheesh mahal, I'll have 12 different kinds of sheesh mahal and something else in some other city.
Yeah.
Because not the same thing attracts everybody.
True.
So the on-ground eventing might change or will change for sure, but maybe
The
the
packaging
the
maybe.
overarching thought might be the same.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's for the larger event. Diwali is too big. Like Diwali is literally the big daddy of all.
Of course.
It's
Of
it's
course.
the, it's the
Of
big
course.
daddy. But there are so many smaller ones, and you keep changing that, and you have to change. People just don't respond, man. Today's kids to keep their attention. We used to make these videos or ads. Remember this? We had 30-second ads, 45-second
Yeah.
ads. People cut the clutter by making 2-minute ads. There were these ads that had come
Yeah.
which were 2 minutes, and
Yeah.
people used to
Yeah.
shed a tear and all of that.
Yeah.
Instagram is now 7 seconds long with a 3-second hook.
I know. I know.
So
Yeah, seriously. It's literally a fast food world.
it is a fast food world. You're absolutely right.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's moving that way.
Yeah.
My next observation, or rather piece of conversation with you, Nishank, over the years has of course been the field of sports, something that both you and me kind of take our entrepreneurship lessons from. And IPL is something we are living through right now.
Yeah.
And it is a part of your and my daily routine for conversations. So a little bit about that. But what I want to understand is, when we talk about spotting opportunities, is there a franchise that we've observed over the last 18 years that has actually stood out for you for spotting the right kind of talent, for grooming them? Spotting opportunities is also getting the right coach in the right place.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Is there a franchise that has stuck out for you?
2-3, and for different reasons. Mumbai, of course, and I think that's that's where your Bumrahs came in, your Pandya came in, so many, and they're known for getting the talent, going out to the street to find talent, bringing them, nurturing them. But there are so many lessons. There's CSK, who has a very different style of management. In fact, for management, there is no better example than the IPL. So you've got Mumbai, you are like professionally led, you spot talent, you groom them, you back them for 3 to 4 years before you say, okay, this is not happening. They have left a Chahal and all that, imagine.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because, so that's one. The second is CSK, who says, no, we'll stick with these guys.
Yeah.
So they are like that old
Trusting
school,
their team.
they will
Trusting
trust in them, and never has age played an played an impact on what they want to choose or whom they want to choose. So in fact, they used to be called the team of uncles or something like that. You know, something like that.
We'd fit into it.
Yeah. I still would, I know. So CSK has got that style where it's not just about grooming, but it's about saying, listen, we are with you, you don't worry, we'll back you. And there are some who just haven't, they want to be flamboyant, but they never have been able to nurture the talent. And you've got RCB, which has got the greatest talent in Virat, and yet they've not been able to groom anybody.
True.
Imagine, they have not been able to groom anybody for so many years.
Yeah.
So I think IPL is amazing because you get these different styles, and also because I think IPL is owned by entrepreneurs, and it probably gives a reflection on how or what they think. And
Absolutely. In fact, Nish, coming in here, I think one piece which I find very, very different in the Indian team versus IPL, when I see, is the missing culture point. Because a team with a culture and a dressing room that's inspired, that understands what this team wants out of me, what my role is within that. Of course, in IPL, there are role definitions. You're a finisher, or you go out there and you take on from ball number 1. But the dressing room culture, the videos that you and I keep forwarding, and we keep. I think hats off to the BCCI and the managing committee for creating
that culture.
And as a result, we have 2 big trophies to talk about.
Yeah.
But like you said, they're led by entrepreneurs, but yet the culture point is because the duration of the tournament is so short that probably they're not being able to build that. So
true.
Is that something that you look at within your team when you take on examples, anecdotes? Is it more Indian team or is it more IPL then?
Both. I mean, to me, cricket is cricket, right? And any good example. So, Rohit, Dhoni, I mean, you always talk about how they lead the team.
Yeah.
I think how, and when I say lead, I actually mean lead. It's not just about the lingo that they use, but the way they trust people. There are so many examples where you still quote Sachin for his discipline.
Yeah.
Right? You still quote Sachin for him playing the way he did against Vaughan, right? I actually now quote Hardik a lot for a guy who's changed, and I think that's an example in transformation. Right? For Rahul too. I mean, they were trolled, right? I mean, those guys were really literally banned.
Absolutely.
And by the public, maybe not so much BCCI. BCCI still trusted them.
Yes.
But the public, it was really bad. I mean,
BCCI examples, in fact, very latest is Shreyas Iyer
and Nishank. See how Shreyas has changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think there's some really fantastic examples, and these are the ones that I state that if you take the good of cricket or good of any sport, but you take the good of it, there's so much to learn. There's leadership, there's transformation, there is sticking to your guns. Dravid, for example, I mean, who would have thought that he was known for being that tuku guy, right?
Yeah.
But his coaching of Rajasthan is very different. He backs young talent. He
Go
plays
out there,
very aggressive cricket, which is very unlike Dravid.
True.
That shows that how much he's open to change.
True.
And the fab work that he did, of course, with both with under 19 and then with the Indian team.
Yeah.
All these are such stupendous examples to follow if you really view both your life as well as what you want to do in a career as good examples.
True.
Of course, they're very bad. There are many bad examples also.
Of course.
And there are people who fall by the wayside. But I think there's great examples in discipline, in change, in taking up new stuff, in leadership, all of it. And it's so easy. The whole of India follows cricket.
True.
The whole of India follows cricket. I think it's just so easy for, at least for me, to relate to something that's just happened and say that, listen, see this?
Yeah.
This is what I think it should be.
Absolutely. I think one of the legends, Anand Mahindra, has in fact been known for his tweets, going out there actually curating the learning from a certain episode on the field. And to us, we do that on a regular basis.
I'm cutting you, but because you talked about Anand Mahindra, about small incidents, everybody's speaking about Surya patted Vaibhav, was it, this young kid from CSK?
Yeah.
That became a talking point.
Yeah.
That became a talking point how...
Matre from CSK
Matre from CSK,
Rajasthan.
Yeah. Very sweet, right?
Yeah.
The fact that he made a tweet for the youngster, for the Rajasthan kid, and he actually patted the guy from CSK.
I think if we are taking a management lesson out of that, I think there is a young kid in the block who's just joined your team. Any small step, a first ball 6, if that's patted, goes a long, long way in a career to just... give them your hand and say, you know what, kid, I'm there. I'll pat your back when you do something right. And I'm there to watch. If you fall, we'll be there for you.
It also shows how secure you are in your own field.
Yeah, true that. Actually,
because at one time, you would have people who would say, damn, there's competition coming, right? Yeah. But I think that's also a culture that BCCI and IPL has fostered. One of security, saying that, guys, you're not going anywhere. But when the young guy comes in, take him in.
Absolutely.
So it's all good. I think cricket is great. For me, it's great.
Absolutely. Moving focus from cricket to the lens, Madman Hawk.
Yeah, Madman Hawk.
Right. People will see Madman Hawk on camera for the first time, maybe. And you are somebody who took me across a couple of safaris. Then you didn't find my skills meeting your expectations.
Patience. There was no patience.
Right. Kab dikhega sher was the question. Yeah. And that question bothered you so much that I never got an invite again. But I have been following you avidly, and I love your photography.
Thanks, man.
Right? I think what you've done, you visited Spiti very recently as well.
I did. It's the most incredible trip I've had. You pick up the weather in the morning in Spiti and it says it's bright and sunny, minus 25 degrees. Wow. So you're like, okay. And then the lady of the house comes in and says, listen, We spotted the snow leopard.
Okay.
Chalo. So you've got 7 layers of clothes. 7 layers of clothes. And you go there and you're there in front of the snow leopard who's really far away, but you're seeing him through the lens for 8 hours straight at minus 20 degrees.
Wow.
So you're having a chai over there, you're having your lunch over there, till the guy doesn't move off.
Wow.
Along with 20 other people, you're just sitting over there, standing. If he gets up, you take a shot or two, then sit down again. And the bugger will always get up at 5:30 in the evening when you are at your coldest. It just drops, man. 4:30 to 5:30, it drops 10 degrees, and that means around minus 28, minus 30, and then you have to remove your gloves because you can't shoot with the gloves. And there you are shooting, but it's amazing. I think I'm going to do it again every 2 years.
Wow.
But it's something to walk in the snow for a kilometer or half a kilometer to first get to see him. It's discipline, man. But I love it. There's this line that I used that because there's nowhere else I will be. I think I'm just lucky to have found wildlife as my calling.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Any lessons that you kind of take back for your team in the boardroom?
I learn a lot during the trips. I think a lot, but I think patience is probably a virtue that you learn only when you're in wildlife. Instinct is another. And when I say instinct, as in maybe offline, we'll talk about the incredible stories of how we've spotted some of these, where it's just because of the smartness of the driver or the guide, and when nothing is in sight, and they'll just pick up a sense or something that they've heard, or they'll just pick up something like a behavioral pattern of the tiger, say 3 days ago or 2 days ago, and it's just pure instinct that yahan nahi dikhega, wahan dikhega. Things like that. So you back your instinct. What they're doing, imagine 50, 60 jeeps are doing just one thing for you.
Yeah.
Relying on their instincts ke aaj aapko tiger dikhega.
True.
And that's their life, day in and day out. That's determination. And you go, the next guy comes, and all they have in mind, aaj aapko hum tiger dikhayenge.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of patience, because there are times when you're doing nothing, just waiting. You know that.
Yeah.
But then there's also focus, because you can't miss a shot.
Yeah.
There's something that I always tell people, that I think I've seen the tiger more through my lens than I have through my eyes, because once you see it, you just lock it through your lens and then you don't let it go anywhere.
Yeah.
So focus and just an instinct, man. You gotta back your instinct. So when you're spotting talent, when you're spotting a tiger, when you're looking at new kids coming in saying that, listen, I think this is the one, you just back your instinct. At the end, it's your instinct.
Absolutely. Staying at the fence will not get you anywhere.
Yeah, you just need to take a
Being
chance.
on the field, kind of imbibing some of these skill sets from different parts of life, and then putting your word, I wouldn't say putting your money, but I'd say putting your word and your confidence behind certain talent. And I think that's something that in my professional life, I am been privileged
You would have groomed so many, man. You would have groomed so many people, much more than me, because I think turnover in agencies and in a high pressure job like yours is so much more than a settled company. Right?
Absolutely. Plus you get a lot of people whose it's their first job. Right. What lent me to do Equals to was actually that, but that there were so many first-time job seekers or people who wanted to kind of change streams. Within my organization, we've hired somebody who used to serve coffee at Cafe Coffee Day. Right.
There was someone who was in the army also along.
There was a lady who used to serve in the Israeli army, and today she's in America. And she's, in fact, all her social circle is from my company that she's taken there. So when I see them jammed together, that's wonderful. And we've got something called Woot Alumni. So we stay in touch with everybody who's left us as well. Cool. And they're very kind enough to shower love as well, right? So nobody marries you. You date when you work in an organization. That's the way I look at life. But when they do, it's got to be a good one, right? You've got to remember that person, that relationship, because an employee is putting so much of trust of their career in you, right? As a marketer and as somebody who's leading, somebody's going to look up to your experience. So there are organizations that kind of look at saying, okay, you hired somebody for a job, treat them or teach them that skill and leave. Within our organization, we kind of say, you know what, get your hands dirty with everything. And then figure out what you're good at.
I think, the one thing that's the most important is as a boss, whether you are a general manager or a CXO or an entrepreneur, is how do you or when do you have the courage to tell the person who's working under you to say that, dude, this is on you.
Yeah.
Do it, and you have a hands-off policy. And I'm telling you, this is a challenge that the middle management has, right?
Very well said.
You still want to give away the job. So you as a CXO or as an owner, you'll say that, yeah, theek hai, tu kar le.
Yeah.
Hai na? But the guy under you, he will not give the job. He will not have the same security. And that's where training comes in. You have to tell him that let the guy under you, give him that freedom. And it's very funny because you are giving freedom to the person under you.
Yeah.
But he refuses to give the same thing to the person working under him.
Correct.
I think those are small nuances as leaders that we need to pay attention to. Because skill, they will learn. Freedom we eventually give.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise we won't do the stuff that we love. Right?
Yeah.
But there are these nuances where how do you groom them to be leaders? And I believe that when you're ready to give up power so that you can get more authority.
True.
That is the true meaning of being a leader. That is when you believe that now you've reached a position where you can say that I want to go to level next.
Yeah.
Because if you want to hold on to something that you have and then say, लेकिन मुझे वो भी चाहिए.
Yeah.
I always say, अगर आपको वो चाहिए, अगर आगे जाना है, तो ये आपको छोड़ना पड़ेगा. नहीं तो you're not ready for the level next. And I think that's, and since we're talking, I was just thinking about the stuff that, what makes leaders or when is it that the people are ready to go to level next? It is when they are ready to give up authority to the person under them.
Yeah.
That is when they are ready to take up the next authority.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Well, that brings me to the last segment. And the name of the podcast is Equals To. So the gamification that we've added is, I give you a word and you need to tell me what that equals to in your life.
All right.
Right? So for the last dance, here we go. Right? We start off. Captaincy.
Rohit Sharma.
Aha. Patience.
Dravid.
Okay. Underdog.
Rajasthan Royals.
I thought the same thing. Right? Focus.
Sachin.
Mm-hmm. Jersey.
Always Mumbai Indians, man.
Aha. I was going with India.
Always Mumbai Indians.
I was going with India on that one. Grassroots.
The Mumbai lanes.
Yeah.
Mumbai ki gali. Sorry, Bombay ki gali.
Bombay ki gali.
Bombay ki gali.
Correcting that one. Edited. Yeah.
Bombay ki gali.
Instinct.
You don't learn, you're born with it.
A fan base.
Fan base is only Mumbai Indians. I was telling someone, I know I'm drifting back, but I told that person that if there's a match between Mumbai Indians and India, I might support Mumbai Indians.
Are you serious?
There's Rohit. There is Sachin Tendulkar. I think I'll still go for Mumbai Indians. So.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a wonderful conversation, Nishank.
Same here,
discovered a few things about you that I didn't know, especially the count of spottings that you've actually done.
Yeah, it's growing. We got to go again. We really have to go again.
You're on camera, so you're promising me something.
I promise him I'm taking him for a trip now.
Looking forward to that one. With that, it's a wrap. Thank you so much for doing this. And
Thanks,
I will see you on the fields very soon.
Thanks, man. Been a pleasure.
Same here. Hi, this is Amit Relan.
एक second. Streaming now.
Streaming. Hi, this is Amit Relan with Equals To, the live podcast. Streaming now on Spotify and YouTube. Please follow us.